Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to talk with you this morning, and I'd like to extend my thanks to the Cultural Attaché and his organising team for the kind invitation to speak with you. Okay, in my 10 minutes, I'm going to try and talk about the challenges and opportunities as I see them from a UK perspective. But to begin with, I'd like to spend just one moment outlining a little bit about the British Council. We are the UK's organisation for cultural relations, and this year we've celebrated our 80th anniversary. So you may be wondering, why is a cultural relations organisation interested in higher education? Well, I think the answer lies in our belief that by bringing together people from the UK and people from overseas, and by building trust and understanding between them, we hopefully can help build global networks of researchers, academics, students, and we can help the flow and exchange of ideas between them. So that's the angle that we're coming from. We, as an organisation in higher education, operate at a policy level. We talk to governments, we talk to sector bodies, we talk to institutions at an institutional level, and indeed we talk to individuals. So we take a very comprehensive and holistic view of higher education. The previous speaker very succinctly outlined what he saw as some of the challenges, obviously from a Libyan perspective. And you'll see that they almost match entirely with the views of an outsider looking in. And I don't think these problems are, they're not Libyan problems. I've worked with the British Council in Afghanistan and in Iraq and in many countries that are emerging from conflict. These are a common set of challenges. An unstoppable demand for access to higher education. And yet you're dealing with a university sector that is working in very difficult circumstances. Diminished human capital, a weakened infrastructure, crucially, a loss of key international links that previously would have helped to promote creativity and innovation. And as my colleague from the University of Leeds mentioned earlier in his very good question, the whole question about security issues, capacity issues, bureaucracy issues. We also heard that the Ministry of Education and Scientific Research in Libya is working on an education reform plan for the higher education sector. And my understanding is that it broadly embraces these type of issues, looking at a restructuring and consolidation of the sector, access, equity, diversity, and again we heard mentioned building up a high-level research capacity. So from my point of view, looking at this, I'm convinced there's no shortage of great ideas. What is the problem around this, I think, is the implementation of those ideas into a firm policy that will bring impact. So, looking at where the opportunities might lie. If we're to prepare a next generation of graduates with the relevant skills and competencies to really make a difference in country, then you've got to look at a higher education system that can deliver. And I think that one of the main advantages of working internationally, getting back to this idea of establishing international links, is that you can work in partnership. provided there is a safe and secure environment for you to do so. Now, the British Council has brokered many relationships over the last 5 years in, for example, Iraq and Afghanistan. So it's not impossible to grow and nurture partnerships in very difficult circumstances. But the safer those circumstances are, it makes the whole process a lot more easy. So what might the UK have to offer? And I say might, because I know that my colleague Cliff from Higher Education Funding Council in England is going to ask you about what might be of help and what might not be of help. But from my point of view, I think the fact that the UK has an international reputation and strong penetration of many of its higher education policies, and those stretch across governance of institutions, funding, quality assurance, teaching and learning methods. There's a whole raft of ideas there that UK universities have a wealth of experience. These may be areas that we can collaborate on a mutual sustainability and satisfaction basis. And I think one of the key attractions, certainly for me, is the diversity of the UK sector and the autonomy that exists within those institutions. So what might strategies for re-engagement with the international community look like? Well, getting back to this idea of growing networks of collaboration, be that through research, be that through teaching and learning, be that through student mobility. These are all factors which I think we should explore. Transnational education opportunities, and looking at priorities for research, where meaningful research collaborations can bring fruit. Those might include biotechnic applications, medicine, astrology, and so on, and many, many more. So if you are to build successful, sustainable collaboration, I think the process is pretty clear. It's not a mystery, really. I think you have to establish cooperation on many levels. You've got to have government-to-government views on subjects. You've got to have university to university, institution to institution. You've got to have system to system approaches. And you've got to encourage our young, talented people to move around and experience what taking a higher education in another environment might look like. Much more difficult, I think, is the real question for us. Because we've heard so far this morning outline very clearly the limitations to working in the Libya sector. So whether these limitations are financial or systematic or material or institutional, you have to clearly define what they are. You have to have an understanding of how the people are working, the culture they're working in, the way that they work, the way that they think. Only then will it be possible, I think, to make a really clear and purposeful intervention that will help make things better for the next generation of our young people. Thank you very much indeed.